Hello and welcome to a new lesson, Most Common Definitions of Language, Lecture 8. The title refers to the fact that how do common people, how do common learners and readers define language in their own respective ways. Language is a tool of communication. Of course, language is an instrument with the help of which we communicate, we speak, we talk to our friends, because the fundamental function of language is to communicate, is to speak, is to talk, is to interact. Go to the next point. Language is an expression of identity. Language is also your expression of cultural and social identity. It is the language that makes you feel you belong to this particular society. Language gives you your social and cultural prestige. Go to the next. Language is a representation of thought. Of course, if you don't have language, how can you represent your ideas? How can you represent your thoughts? How can you express them? How can you impress upon others? We continue our discussion. Language is an internal component of the brain. Of course, it is an internal component in the sense that language happens in the mind, in the brain, not outside. Of course, there is a difference between mind and brain. But it is an internal component, a God-gifted, well-built component in the brain of human being. And from there it functions and helps us speak or use the language in a way we want. Language is a meaning-making entity, means a meaning-making thing. Language is something that gives us an opportunity to express something meaningful. Language is something that helps us convey meaningful social exchanges in life. Next, language has a complex process with system of elements and ground principles. Of course, language is not so easy. If you study deep into it, if you dive deep into it, you'll find that it has a complex process. It has layers and layers of levels, like you have phonetics, phonetic symbols, you have syntax, we have semantics, and we have so many other things. It has definite rules and regulations. It has too many elements inside it. And of course, it is governed by principles. It is governed by certain rules and regulations. So in that way, if you study how language works, how language functions, and how a child speaks language, it means that it is a complex process. It's not as easy as we speak. For a normal person, language is something like we started speaking our mother tongue. It is like we started walking and talking. So in that way, it appears to be very easy. But as a linguist or as a student of linguistics, if you try to study, you will come to know that it has a very complex process. And the last point in this direction is language is the faculty of articulating words. Refers to the idea that language has the power, language has the ability, language has the capability that helps us articulate our ideas with the help of words and sentences. So these are some of the most common definitions of language which we as learners normally understand, apart from what famous persons, famous thinkers have defined language, which I talked about in my previous lectures. Hope you understand the general definitions of language in this brief lesson. Thank you and goodbye.